become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live and flow. So let's go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just want to keep going. Dun, 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 dun. It makes me happy. I love that music. Okay. I feel like now it just is, it's like our theme song, like I hear it and I just start to go like, okay, here we go into our next topic. And I'm excited for today's topic. I know it might seem weird, flow through divorce. But yesterday, Shelley and I talked about you are the story you tell yourself. So whatever challenge you might be facing, the way that you tell it to yourself in your mind, the way that you might tell it to someone else, like, oh, let me tell you what happened to me, shapes your reality. And we know that it's challenging being in that place, that moment you realize, oh my gosh, I'm getting a divorce, or oh my gosh, my life is changing forever. And it is a scary place to be. And when Shelley and I were talking about, well, how can we follow up with that, with what we talked about yesterday? You said to talk about the other side of the story, the other side of the coin. Do you want to share a little bit more about what you meant by that?
That this too shall pass. There's good news that really the whole point of talking about this is to help people to realize that, it's a long process to get through divorce and all your emotional things and your hurts, and even maybe forgiving yourself for things you may have done or not done. And so I feel like that is a long, some people it takes years and years, and some people, 5 years later, they're still a victim. And they're still not seeing it in a way that can help them to grow as a person and move on and be happy in their life without that person in it, or to at least even be able to deal with them because of their children. So there's so much in between. And I know we've got some exciting things about that that will be coming up and we'll be able to share with everybody. But for now, I think is to be excited that it does come to an end. It doesn't stay that way forever if you allow it. And you can take
I think that's the key, Shelley. It's like what you allow and what you want. How do you want this story to go? Like, this is your life. This is your story. You get to show up every day living it however you want. And so what do you want that story to look like? And I think for both you and I didn't want my story to be one that we hated each other and we weren't working it out and that the kids were impacted. I mean, my mom's been married 3 times. I've been through so many divorces, and I just, it's not a pretty thing, but it can be done better. It can be done with more love and more care on both individuals' parts. And even though you can't control the other individual, you can control yourself and you can show up with more love. And it is so, so hard when you feel just so lost. And when we, like you think about even Aaron Abke and you talk about identities, like a wife, that identity that we hold on to and means so much. And then to have something like that stripped away. It's like the identity of a mother, a mother losing a child. It's like that, probably that same kind of feeling of like this ripping away of who you are. It can be a really, really hard place. But on the flip side, it does get better. I would look at other women and go, okay, I don't know. They seem happy now. They're remarried, or they're not married, but they've grown so much. And I just kept thinking, like, is that ever going to be me? Am I ever really going to be that person? Or am I going to be like the woe is me person? Because you don't want to be that person. But
But
like
you
when you're
sought
in it,
out,
it's hard to believe that you're going to be anyone else.
but I think you sought out positive things in your life. And, it's not like you sought out positive things about divorce, because that's not positive, but you surrounded yourself with ways that you could learn forgiveness, could be more positive, could
True.
not blame yourself for some of the things that happened. And so I think that's what this whole thing is about, is that we need to be there for one another. I mean, we really do. I mean, it's just like your ex-husband is now remarried, and you're building a good relationship with his new wife. And because that's going to benefit your children, that's also going to make you feel better as a, better than
Right.
thinking negative things about her. And, I've heard you tell me great qualities about her and how that's going to
Yeah, I
enrich
have
your
no, like, if I could just, I mean, I don't know her, but like in my head, because I know Chad so well. And so in my head, I can like picture like who would be better than me, like I know the good things that I added, but I also know there were things that he probably could use or would like or whatever that I wasn't. And when I think about like who that person is, she fits that in ways, so I'm like so grateful, like, yay, he gets to experience this next chapter with someone who gets to bring totally different qualities than I did. And seems really happy, and he gets to be a dad to 3 other kids. And I'm like, those kids are so lucky that they get Chad in their life, and so it's, even though through something so hard, it can be beautiful, and it can be beautiful for everyone. And it was interesting when Chad got because I'm not remarried. I mean, I've been with Julian for like 5 years, but I don't know that I'll ever get remarried. That's just my own little side note. But when Chad got remarried, it was interesting because I had friends say, "Oh, I really wanted that for you. Are you okay?" And I just thought, like, why does that even have to be the standard? I mean, you said that to me. Not all relationships last forever. And then I could see, though, how while the relationship in a romantic way doesn't last forever, the relationship can, and the quality of it really depends on how you show up and the love that you bring towards it. And that's something that I learned from you, like that you helped me get through and reframe how I was seeing Chad, myself, through those times, because you could put this lens of just like love on it and it's going to be okay. And I thought, okay, if Shelley can get through it, then I can get through it. So that really was really beneficial.
I also think that, even though I was hurt with different things that happened in my thing, I wasn't mad though. For some reason, I never went through that mad stage where I hated him or whatever. I just, for some reason, I couldn't feel that feeling. And it was hard because, I mean, I remember even a therapist telling me once, you need to feel all those feelings because then you can move forward. But, my whole point about it is I just think that everybody's experience is individual.
For sure.
But if you could just realize when you get around people and conversations like this that are positive, even though if it's unimaginable right now to you, that you look at your relationship with this person that you're divorcing, it doesn't have to be as awful as it is right now.
Right.
And that's why we're talking about this, because it doesn't mean things that happened to you in your marriage, things that happened to me in my marriage, doesn't mean it was okay, right? Or that it wasn't hurtful or that any of that.
Right.
But how does that serve you to hold on to that? It doesn't help you in any way. And so that's why I always said those blinders, how that helped me was not that those things didn't exist and that I didn't deal with them, because eventually I did deal with them. But when I kept my kids as my goal, and other people may have different goals that, for whatever reason, but I just think from me starting it, that helped me to have a better relationship. It took more years, but I do now think that, in my own opinion, I feel like Scott really respects me. And I know he thinks I'm a really good mom and a great ex-wife that supports him. And that didn't just come overnight, and it wasn't easy. There were a lot of
Right.
tears.
You
And
know
I
what,
kept,
Shelley? What's coming up for me as you're saying these things, and I remember you saying this, and I also learned this from my mom, is that my mom never spoke bad about my dad. And my biological dad, he was physically abusive to my mom. I mean, it was not pretty. And even through that crazy divorce and my dad not paying child support and not showing up sometimes and kind of just being that Disneyland dad, never would she say anything. And she was just grateful for what he was able to give. And I think the way that she kind of just saw him is like, he was on his own journey and he was just doing the best he could with what he had. And I think just by her treating him that way, it allowed us to treat him that way too. Like, okay, we know he's not the dad who's just going to always be there, the dad I go to for advice, but he does fun things with us, and that's what he's able to offer. And that's enough, and we love him for that. And because my mom was that example for me, I think hopefully I feel like I was that way with the kids, like I wouldn't speak bad. I would never put the kids in the middle, or speak bad about him in front of the kids. And I think that's super important and something that I know you believe in too.
yes. And I also feel that I can't be a dad. I can only be a mom, and your kids deserve both. And so if you try to sever and make them think bad things about their parent on both sides, even if it's, opposite, I just feel like, my kids deserve a dad. And, I do want to make it really clear. He has always been there for his kids. And part of that is we were able to get along. And even when I had issues with them when they were younger, I'd say, call your dad. He's going to be on my side. So, so we stayed a team where the kids were concerned. And
was that hard to do? Was that because I guess you never had the anger, like you said, but can you imagine someone who feels that anger and like doesn't want to see that person win? Because they do have anger towards them and the choices that they made. They don't want to see that person win. And so,
well, I kind of feel that it's not about your divorce, your ex-husband. It's about how much you love your kids. So that's where I say the blinders are. So no matter what happened, doesn't matter the scenario, even on both sides, everybody has a part in a marriage.
Right.
So if I just take my part, you take your part, we just pick up the pieces. And it doesn't seem like, it may sound like I'm making it sound simple. It isn't simple. I had a lot of tears, a lot of sadness, a lot of loneliness, a lot of insecurities that I had to get through.
Right.
But in the long run, the most important thing to me really was my kids. I came from a divorced family, and I wanted to have the best of a bad situation. And I look back at us and I'm really proud of what we did. And like I said, we never involved our kids in fights and disagreements or whatever. And he supported me on that.
And you're able to spend holidays together. I mean, that's beautiful. We're not quite there yet. We still have a little bit to go, but maybe one day that's in the future, but I mean, like, certainly if like Emmy were to get married or something like that, like everyone could show up and it would be just fine, but we're not quite like hanging out at each other's houses yet. That's okay, because we're all like, it's like you said, it's a process, and it's like what it looks like today, maybe tomorrow can just be a little bit better, and then the next day can be a little bit better. And it's all about where you're putting your awareness, what kind of a future do you want, and then how are you contributing to creating that future? Are you replying in a kind, loving way? When, like right now, we're sick at this house, and so he's keeping, even though it's my week to have the kids, he's keeping them because we don't want to get the kids sick. And so it's not like, well, they're yours, you deal with it. Go ahead, it's not on me. No, it's like, what's in the best interest of the children? We do not want them sick. So let's just stay over there and we'll figure it out. I help him out when he needs it. He helps me out when I need it. We're just kind, we'll meet halfway. He lives 45 minutes from me right now. We meet halfway and not just, physically. Yes, we'll meet halfway to exchange kids, but I think you got to do that in all your negotiations, creating those win-wins for each other and helping each other, setting each other up to win, because that's the example that you're giving your kids. And you just never know what's going to happen in their lives, and you want them to have the best shot at their relationships. And so if they can see that even through something as hard as divorce, good can come out of it, and we can grow and learn and still be good people, then what more could you ask for?
I'm passionate about letting people know that there is happiness after divorce.
Yes.
And you don't have to be a victim. You really don't. And life can be amazing. And it's what you make it. And don't stay stuck. So on that note,
I love you, friend.
I love you. So if you would
wanna
like
tell
to,
people,
I'm going to tell everybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone, if you'd like to find us again, we're at settolove.com. Also, if you want to email us or give us a suggestion for a show of things you'd like to hear, or a question about some of the shows that we have, we'd love to hear from you. So that's at settolovepodcast@gmail.com. We're here every weekday morning at 8:30. Want to thank you for joining us today. Love you, friend.
Thank you for a great conversation. Hopefully this really can help someone out there, and just
I hope so
know
too.
that
That's the hardest time of your life.
you can do it. You can do it.
And we're here for you. So hit the bell, everyone. Subscribe.
Thank you so much. Have